There was in a poor neighborhood in the East a young girl named Emma. Emma was only 14 years old when she started dating a young boy named James, who was 18. Her mother was very angry and reminded her every day to behave, but she sneaked out every day to go see James when she wasn't at home. When the two of them met, James made her endless promises of love and kissed her. Emma loved James so much and trusted him so deeply that she did everything he asked her to do. He took advantage of her naivety and her blind love to sleep with her every time they saw each other. James was living with his uncle because his parents' house was too far away. The situation worsened over time because Emma no longer listened to her parents and tricked their vigilance every time to go see James. She spent almost all her days with him. Overwhelmed by the situation, her father went to James's uncle's house one Saturday, accompanied by 2 policemen. James was arrested and summoned to the police station. The police officer strictly reminded him of the rules and warned him not to approach Emma again because she was a minor. He let him go with a warning, but his uncle refused to let him back into his house. He was fed up with his behavior and all the trouble he caused him on a daily basis. He was forced to go back to his parents, who lived in another neighborhood. A few months after he left, Emma got pregnant. Her father was furious. He kicked her out of the house and strictly told her never to come back. Cornered, she knelt and began to beg her mother, but she too didn't want to hear anything more. How old are you to go and open your legs to a man? Since you already know about things that are reserved for grown-ups, then you will manage on your own from now on and live according to your means, like a grown-up. Get out of my sight immediately and go find the one who got you pregnant. I beg you, Mom, forgive me. It was an accident. I didn't know it would come to this. Furious, her mother took a big stick from the ground and threatened to hit her with it. She ran with all her strength to escape and save her life. She walked in tears without knowing where she was going, when suddenly she heard someone calling her from behind. It was her Aunt Charlotte. She turned around and walked toward her with her head down. She was ashamed. Aunt Charlotte entered her room as if to get something. She came back out and handed her a bill. Here, Emma. I don't really have much money, but I hope this can help you. Thank you very much, Aunt Charlotte, she replied, before leaving again without knowing where she was going. After a few hours wandering around the neighborhood crying, she remembered James's uncle. She gained sudden strength and went immediately to his house. She knocked timidly on the door and he opened it. Emma? But? Are you okay? What are you doing here? Are you sick? She was unable to say a word, and her face was flooded with tears. Come in, Emma. Please come in and explain to me what's wrong. Once inside, James's uncle began to ask her several questions one after another. But why are you crying like this? And why is your belly so big? Are you sick? I came to see James, sir. See James? Why? I'm pregnant with his child, mister, she announced while continuing to cry. What? You're pregnant? At only 14 years old? What a shame. Please, mister, help me. I beg you. My parents kicked me out of the house. I don't know where I'm going to sleep. Please allow me to sleep here just for today before I figure out what to do tomorrow. I'm sorry, but I can't host you at my place. The only thing I can do for you is give you the address of James's parents and give you a little money so you can take a taxi to get there. Here, this is all I have. Thank you, mister, she replied sadly. She left the house and immediately went to the station to take a taxi. During the ride, all her thoughts returned to her parents and tears escaped from her eyes. What have I done? What will become of me? A few hours later, She arrived in the neighborhood and walked to the address James's uncle had given her. She saw a woman in the distance sweeping the yard. She approached her and greeted her politely. "Hello, Mrs. Hello, young lady. Can I help you?" "Yes, Mrs. I'm looking for James." "You're looking for James? Why?" "I'm pregnant with his child, Mrs." "What? Aren't you ashamed? You come here pretending to be pregnant with my son's child because you found out he was recruited into a major branch of the army and that he's going to be paid millions. You have 10 seconds to leave my house before I hit you with the broom. Opportunist, witch." Suddenly, an old man poked his head through the door to see what was happening in the yard. "What's going on here?" he asked, looking confused. "This girl came out of nowhere and claims to be pregnant by our son. She never came here when James was unemployed. If she's not an opportunist, I don't know what else she could be." The man stared at Emma as if searching for an answer in her eyes, then slightly moved away from his wife and asked Emma, "Are you sure it's James you're pregnant by?" "Yes, mister," she replied. "Where exactly are you from?" "It's James's uncle who gave me your address. James is not here right now. He traveled because he was recruited into the army." "All right, mister, but I beg you, please let me stay here. I have nowhere to go. My parents kicked me out of the house," Emma continued in tears. "You have nowhere to go, so what?" replied James's mother angrily. "You can't stay here. There's no more space in my house. Your house. Did you bring a house with you when I married you?" asked James's father, looking confused. "Listen, young girl, follow my wife. She will show you a room where you can stay while waiting for James to return. All right?" "Yes, mister. Thank you very much," Emma replied, relieved. She followed James's mother to the room that was reserved for her. Once inside the room, James's mother began threatening her. "Listen to me very well, wicked girl. Don't think you'll get away so easily. Know that you haven't seen anything yet. You're lucky my husband stepped in to defend you, but I'll personally take care of you in this house. My son James is very serious and responsible. He's never known a woman in his life. Since we lived here with little means, no girl ever came here asking about him. Now that he's landed a big job contract, you appear out of nowhere like magic and claim to be pregnant by him. I'll soon show you what my anger looks like. Filthy witch." She stormed out of the room, leaving Emma alone and terrified. She tried to stay strong. Even though she was afraid of what was to come, she was relieved to have found a place to sleep. In the evening, while the whole family was outside, Emma didn't dare go out. James's father came into the room to see what she was doing. "Why have you been locked up since you arrived? You can come outside and stay with us and enjoy the fresh air. You're not in prison here. Whether you're pregnant by my son or not, if you had come to me in this condition, I would still have helped you and welcomed you into my home. So don't feel rejected. You can call me Baba. The little girl standing over there in the back is also my daughter. Her name is Layla. And you, what's your name and how old are you?" "My name is Emma and I'll soon be 16, she replied timidly. After talking a bit with her and encouraging her a little, when Baba left the room, James's mother came in with a look full of hatred and contempt. "Just wait until my husband leaves the house tomorrow. I'll show you what my anger looks like." She then stormed out of the room. As soon as she left, Emma knelt down in tears and began praying to God to help her. The next morning, while she was still sleeping, James's mother came to wake her up by throwing a bucket of cold water on her face. "You're still sleeping at this hour? Did you come here to be served? Get up quickly and go sweep the entire house. Then prepare food for the whole family. Then wash the dishes and clean all the dirty clothes I left in the yard. then go throw out the trash, then go do some shopping at the market for the evening, and then clean the toilets. If you don't finish everything I just mentioned before 3 p.m., know that you'll sleep today on an empty stomach. Emma was lost and forced herself to hold back her tears. For several months, James's mother mistreated her. She never missed a chance to hit her. One morning, while she was sweeping the living room, she saw someone walk in. The person's silhouette looked a lot like James. She frowned and leaned forward to see clearly who it was, and then she realized it was really him. Overwhelmed with joy, she ran to jump into his arms when suddenly he violently pushed her away. "What are you doing here?" Suddenly, his mother also entered the room. "Welcome, my son. I missed you so much." "What is this girl doing here, Mom?" "We'll talk about that later, my son. Come first and have something to drink. You just arrived." "No, Mom, please. I want to understand. Tell me what she's doing here." "All right, listen. This young girl came here about 6 months ago. She claimed to be pregnant with your child. I immediately sent her back home when she came here, but your father gave her a room to stay in until your return." While James's mother was giving explanations, James heard his father calling him outside. He went out to greet him. After the greetings, he followed his father inside. Meanwhile, Emma was in the room crying. She was confused and lost. What happened to James? He had always told her he was in love with her and had always promised her marriage, and now he was speaking to her as if he had never known her before. She thought her arrival would change things, but it was completely the opposite. She sat on the floor looking lost and desperate. A few minutes later, Baba called her into the living room for a meeting with his wife and with James. "James, this young girl has been living here with us for a few months now. She said she was pregnant and that you were the father of her child. I waited for you to come and give your side of the story before deciding. Now I'm listening." James lowered his head and sighed. He remained silent for a few seconds, then replied, "I admit I slept with her only once, but I didn't think she would get pregnant." "You didn't think she would get pregnant? Very well. Since you're old enough to sleep with girls, know that she is now your responsibility. That's perfect because you have a job now and you receive a salary. From now on, all her needs are your responsibility. All her needs and also all the needs of the child who is about to be born. I'm done." A few weeks later, James had to return to the military base for training. Before leaving, he gave Emma a few coins and left without even speaking to her or asking what she might need. The next morning, while Baba was out of the house, Emma woke up with severe abdominal and back pain. She was in so much pain that she couldn't prepare food for the family. When James's mother entered the kitchen and noticed that nothing had been cooked, she immediately went to her room looking furious. "You're still sleeping at this hour? And since morning you haven't cooked anything? Am I supposed to serve you in my own house?" She got up with difficulty, and before she could explain herself, she threw herself at her and started beating her with a broom without considering her pregnancy. She hit her so violently that she fell to the ground and fainted. When she woke up, she was already on a hospital bed. The doctors had to perform an emergency cesarean to save her baby's life. She gave birth prematurely to a girl. After giving birth, she returned again to James's parents' house. James's mother tortured her every day, but she had nowhere else to go and was forced to return each time against her will. 3 months after giving birth, James had never asked about her. He never came to visit her and didn't even think about seeing his own child. When the baby turned 1, Baba called Emma into the living room to speak with her. He handed her a small envelope containing James's address and some money so she could go see him at his base. You must visit him and introduce him to his child. Since he doesn't want to come here to see his child, then you must go there to present the child to him. Emma agreed and packed her bags. She left the house and went to the station with her baby in her arms. She took a taxi and went to the address Baba had given her. After 4 hours of travel that felt like an eternity, she arrived at the training camp where James worked. It was in a somewhat remote area. She approached an officer to ask where James was. The officer asked her to follow him. He led her to the tent assigned to James. Once in front of the tent, she noticed that there was a pair of high heels at the entrance. She was confused, but she gathered her courage and knocked. James came out looking surprised to see her. "But, you again? Who gave you my address and why did you come here? I gave birth a year ago. You never asked about me, how I eat, or the needs of the child. I came to introduce you to your child, and despite the fact that I am holding her in my arms, this is how you welcome me. Listen, this is not the time to make stories. Take this money and go back to my father's house in the neighborhood. I will come to see you at the end of the month. For now, I have other things to do." Emma was shocked. She didn't know what to say and was holding back her tears when suddenly a young woman came out of the tent looking visibly confused. "Darling, what's going on here? Who is she?" "No, baby, it's just my sister, don't worry. She came from the village. She was asking for money and I already gave her some to go back home." He held the woman by the waist and the two of them went back inside together, leaving Emma standing outside in the sun, puzzled. She was lost. Her baby started to cry, and tears welled up in her eyes too. She sat down on the ground to nurse her baby. "I should have listened to my parents," she cried right there on the ground under the sun, when suddenly James came out of the tent again looking very angry. "But you're still here. What did I just tell you earlier? Take the child with you and go back to the neighborhood. I will come to see you around the end of the month. Or are you deaf now? What have I done to you, James? Why are you making me go through all this? You always promised me that you would marry me. I disobeyed my parents because of you. You abused my trust. Even though I'm holding your daughter in my arms, you have no compassion for me. Listen, Mrs., I'm already late, and I don't want to waste my time on useless things. I come back from work around sunset. If I find you still here when I return, I will show you what my anger looks like. Don't come here to create problems for me." He left in a hurry. Emma started to cry again. She was still crying, sitting on the ground, when suddenly a young female officer who was passing by noticed that she was crying. She approached her and asked, "Good evening, young lady. Are you okay? Why are you crying? Are you looking for someone? It's not good for you to stay under this burning sun with the child. Tell me what's wrong." Emma started to explain the whole situation to the woman. Moved by compassion, the woman decided to help her. She took the child from her arms and walked towards a room in the distance, asking Emma to follow her. Once inside the room, the woman bathed the child and changed her clothes. She then gave some food to Emma. "You can stay with me in this tent until you find a solution. I don't mind, especially since I will be living alone here until the end of my training. Even though it's very small, it will allow you to sleep safely in the meantime. You can call me Mia." Tears came to Emma's eyes. "Thank you so much, Auntie. I really don't know how I could have managed without your help. May God reward you 100-fold. For several weeks, Emma lived with Mia. One day, she went out to buy something outside the training camp. On her way back, she ran into James's new girlfriend who blocked her path, looking angry. "Listen to me very well, you hungry little witch. Whether you're James's sister or his wife, I don't care at all. I just want you to know that from now on, I am his wife and I am the only one he loves. Did you see my chest and my behind? That's what James likes." Emma tried to leave to avoid problems, but she violently pulled her hand to prevent her from leaving. "I'm not done talking. I never want to see you here again. This place is reserved only for reputable people like my darling and me, not for monkeys like you." Emma quickly left, fighting back the tears that threatened to flow. She was hurt, but she tried to stay strong. Mia was James's boss at the training camp, but Emma didn't know that. If she knew and had reported him, he would have been in big trouble and could have even lost his job. Consumed by constant sadness and loneliness, she decided to go back to the neighborhood to Baba's house. Even though she was constantly mistreated by James's mother, she could always count on Baba, who was a great moral support for her. Mia gave her some money so she could take a taxi. "I will miss you very much, Emma." "You too, Auntie. Thank you very much for everything you have done for me." Very early the next day, she went to the park to take a taxi. During the ride, while they were crossing a remote area in the middle of the forest, the taxi was attacked by thieves. The driver made an emergency maneuver and ended up deep in the forest. The passengers got out of the car and ran with all their strength to save their lives. Some people even left their luggage in the taxi. Emma took her daughter in her arms and ran as fast as she could, going deeper into the forest. Exhausted, she finally stopped in the middle of the forest. She was panicked and no longer knew which way led back home. Her child began to cry from hunger or maybe fear. Suddenly, she heard a deep and terrifying voice behind her. "Who's there?" She was terrified, and with her face sweating, she knelt on the ground and began to cry. "Please don't hurt me, I beg you." Suddenly, an old indigenous man came out of the bushes and slowly approached her. He was dressed in straw. "Get up, young lady. I mean you no harm. I was looking for medicinal herbs when I heard your child crying. What are you doing alone in the middle of the forest with a child?" Emma slowly got up and briefly explained her situation to him. The man felt sorry for her. "I've been living here in this forest for years with my wife and my son. If you want, you can come with me so I can give you shelter for the night, and tomorrow morning you can continue on your way. Give me the child and let me help you." The man took the child from her arms and asked her to follow him. She followed the man, who led her to a small house in the heart of the forest. At nightfall, the man served her a hot meal and some water. While she was eating, she heard the man talking with his wife inside. "Who is this girl you brought here? Have you forgotten that the Forest Spirits Festival started yesterday and it is forbidden to host strangers? Tell her to leave immediately. I don't want any trouble. Who will know she is a stranger if we don't tell anyone? You just have to keep your mouth shut and we won't have any problem. In any case, I warned you, but if anything happens to me, you will be the only one responsible," she added angrily. Emma got scared after hearing their conversation. She didn't want any trouble and wanted to leave, but she didn't know where to go and didn't know any place in the forest. A few hours later, a young boy ran up to the man shouting, "Dad! Dad! The spirits are coming, and they are heading toward our house." "Everyone go hide in the bedroom," ordered the man to his child and his wife. Emma followed them too, and everyone went to hide in the bedroom in fear. Emma began to pray in her heart, hoping her little girl wouldn't wake up because if she cried, the spirits would find them in their hiding place. A few minutes later, the spirits did indeed appear. Good evening, mister. We have just learned that you are hosting a stranger in your home. Me? No, that's false, quickly replied the man. I am not hosting any stranger in my home. I think you are mistaken. Suddenly, his wife came out of the room crying. It's true that we are hosting a stranger, but please don't hurt us. It's my husband who brought a young girl and her child this morning. I reminded him that it was forbidden, but he didn't want to listen to me. You hosted a stranger in your home, even though you knew it was forbidden at this time. Let the stranger leave immediately. She will be sacrificed for the gods of our land, and as for you, mister, you will also be sacrificed. Emma left the room crying, looking terrified, holding her daughter firmly in her arms. I beg you, let us leave. I am not from here. I know nothing about your traditions or your rules. My husband abandoned me, and that's why I ended up here. Your story does not interest us, the spirits replied. The festival of the spirits began yesterday, and it is strictly forbidden to welcome strangers in this forest during this period. You will be sacrificed, you and your child, as well as the old man who took you in. Emma was crying and screaming with all her strength. She knew it was over for her. She prayed in her heart and desperately hoped for a miracle. Take her away, the spirits ordered. She was forcibly taken away with her child. She was crying and screaming, but no one seemed to care about her. They arrived in a very dark and remote area in the middle of the forest, where a very large number of spirits awaited them. One of the spirits approached with a gourd in hand. He tried to touch her head with the gourd, but the gourd slipped from his hands and fell. He tried again, but the gourd fell to the ground once more. On the third try, the gourd fell and shattered into pieces. The chief of the spirits in the back exclaimed, "The gods are refusing to let her be sacrificed. Where did you find her?" "We found her at the herbalist who lives in the heart of the forest," the spirits replied. "She is an indigenous woman. Chase her very far from here," ordered the chief of the spirits. "The gods of the forest do not want her." Suddenly the spirits began to chase her to force her to flee. She ran with all her strength, not understanding what was happening. After several hours of moving forward, only hoping to find the way out of the forest, she ended up in another neighborhood that was completely unfamiliar to her. She walked a little and saw in the distance a large building. It was the building of a Catholic church. She began to cry with joy. She went inside and knelt down, crying, thanking God for saving her and her daughter. She took the opportunity to sleep in the church. The next day, the residents of the neighborhood went to the church building to attend the morning mass. She was sitting next to the building, and everyone who passed by looked at her strangely because she was in somewhat dirty clothes and smelled a bit bad. At the end of the mass, the people gathered money for her to allow her to continue her journey home. She took the money and went to the nearest train station. After a few hours of travel, she arrived in the neighborhood of Baba. It was the only place where she could count on someone to bring her support and comfort. When she arrived, there was a large crowd gathered in front of Baba's hut. She also saw James, who was sitting in the middle of the crowd, crying. She was confused because he was supposed to be in training at the military base. She was wondering what was going on when suddenly Layla, James's little sister, ran toward her. "What's going on here? Why are there so many people in front of Baba's hut?" Emma asked. "Baba has died," Layla replied sadly. "What? Baba died?" She began to cry. Baba was the only person who took care of her and supported her. It was because of him that she had come back to the village. What was she going to do now? She got up crying, looking weakened, walked through the crowd and went to the room that Baba had assigned to her when he was still alive. She noticed that the lock on the door had been changed. Layla came closer to her and explained that it was her mother who had changed the lock on the door. She changed the lock yesterday and gave the key to James's new girlfriend, who is already here now. Emma began to cry again. Where will I go now? Baba is no longer here. What will I do? Where will I sleep? You can sleep in the church behind the station while you find a solution, Layla replied. I can go with you. While Emma was crying and thinking, Grace appeared in front of her with a look of contempt. Really? Why do I always have to run into you like this? Were you hired to spy on me? Let me surprise you. Not only am I about to marry James, but I'm already pregnant by him. Since the first time I saw you at my darling's training base, I knew you weren't his sister like he claimed. Let's go, Auntie, announced Layla to cut off the conversation. Emma followed Layla toward the church. Layla was so small but so kind and mature, like Baba. While walking with her, Emma recalled all the hurtful words from James's new girlfriend. She couldn't believe that one day James would make her suffer so much. She slept in the church with her baby that night. The next day, Baba's brother called Emma to a family meeting in the presence of James, his new girlfriend Grace, and his mother. The uncle spoke up. Hello everyone, my name is Oliver, and I'm Baba's direct younger brother. Before he died, while he was still suffering on his bed, he confided certain information to me and asked me to share it with you. I recorded everything on my phone and I will let you listen directly. I made sure to record everything so that no one thinks I came to say nonsense. So I'll let you listen carefully. He pressed his phone and started playing the recording. Hello everyone. If you are hearing my voice right now, it means I am no longer among you. I am making this audio to inform James that he is not allowed to marry another woman besides Emma, who is carrying his child. To stay true to our values and traditions, he is no longer allowed to marry any woman other than Emma. He must take her with him to the base and take care of her. If he refuses to do so, he must not attend my funeral under any circumstances. Emma was surprised and shocked by what she had just heard. Overcome with shame, James's new girlfriend no longer knew where to stand. James's mother spoke up angrily. But what does all this mean? You all heard Baba's recordings. I'm not the one who said it, he did, and whoever disregards his wishes will face the consequences alone. Tomorrow, as he wished, we will organize the wedding quickly so as not to delay the funeral. I'm done. James lowered his head sadly. He was lost. The next day, as planned, a small wedding was held in the presence of a few guests. Neither James nor Emma wanted this wedding, and it was visible on their faces, but they were forced to go through with it. James was so angry that he was thinking about what to do to take out all his anger on Emma. His uncle reminded him that he must absolutely take Emma with him to the base and take care of her because she was now officially his wife. As for Emma, she didn't want to leave with James, but she had nowhere else to stay since Baba had died. She had no choice but to follow him. She decided to spend a few days at the church to pray before the day of departure. Every evening she prayed and asked God to help her get James's new girlfriend out of her life. One evening, while she was praying again in the church, Layla came running in. "What's going on, Layla?" she asked, confused. "You scared me. Why did you leave the house alone this night?" "Come on, Emma. I have something to show you," she replied, pulling Emma by the hand out of the church. She dragged her in front of Baba's house, where they saw James's girlfriend sitting on the ground in the yard, looking terrified with her luggage. "What's wrong with her?" asked Emma. She ran out of the room saying she saw Baba's ghost, who chased her out of the room. Mom asked her to pack her things and leave while she finds a solution for her. She took her bags and left the neighborhood that same night. The next day, Emma went into the kitchen to see if there was anything to eat, but she realized all the pots were empty. She went to the market and bought rice with the money given to her by the church members. While she was cooking in the kitchen, James's mother came in and caught her angrily. "What are you doing in my kitchen?" "Good morning, Mum. I haven't eaten since yesterday. I'm cooking rice." "You're cooking rice?" "My rice that I left in the kitchen." "No, Mum. I bought it myself." "With what money?" "You stole my rice and you're trying to lie." "Get out of my kitchen quickly, you little witch. Baba is no longer here to protect you. Don't ever set foot in this house again if you don't want trouble, you stinking wretch." In tears, Emma left the kitchen to go back to the church. She was hungry and crying. A few minutes later, Layla came to secretly bring her a plate of stew. She ate quickly, as if she had never eaten in her life. "Thank you so much, Layla. May God bless you." The next day, James visited her for the first time at the church. He explained to her that they would be leaving for the base the following day. Emma had a glimmer of hope. She hoped that with time, he would change and love her again, like in the good old days. The next day before leaving, Emma hugged Layla and thanked her. "Thank you so much for everything you've done for me, Layla. I could have died of hunger if you weren't here. You are very kind, and like Baba used to do when he was alive, you supported me a lot. I will always pray for you, and I promise to come back to see you no matter the circumstances." After a few hours of travel, Emma and James arrived at the base. Instead of directly opening the tent and entering, James knocked. Suddenly, Grace came out and kissed him. Emma was speechless. "But James, what is this girl still doing here?" James replied to her. "Did you really think I brought you here so we could live together as a couple? I don't love you anymore. The only person I love is Grace. I would give my life for her. I'm sorry, but I don't like you anymore. There's an isolated tent over there at the back in the middle of the grass. I rented it with my own money. You can go stay there, but I don't want to see you around here anymore. I don't want to see your face." Emma started to cry. Did she feel naive? She regretted having foolishly trusted him. James had only brought her back to make a good impression in the neighborhood. She headed toward the tent he had shown her. All night long she kept crying. James had destroyed her life. She wondered what to do when she suddenly remembered Mia. A slight smile instantly appeared on her face. She went out and headed to the tent where she had lived with her. Upon arriving, she noticed that the tent was empty. She approached an officer who was standing nearby. "Excuse me, mister, I'm looking for Mia." "She's no longer here, missus. She was assigned to a high position abroad." Emma felt a shiver run through her whole body. She started crying again, desperately realizing that her last hopes had just fallen apart. She returned to her tent crying. A few weeks later, James visited her for the first time at the tent. "I'm moving tomorrow with my wife. We're going to settle elsewhere because she's pregnant and I need to take care of her. I have a longtime friend who's looking for a housemaid. I don't know if it's true, but he told me he now lives in the city. You can go work for him if you want, and he will pay you a bit of money at the end of each month. That will allow me to stop paying for this tent every month and, more importantly, to stop seeing your ugly face every day. But if you don't want to leave, know that you'll have to pay for this tent yourself because I'm leaving." Emma knew she had no choice but to accept. Anyway, she was struggling to feed her child, and she needed a job. The next day, James left the base as planned with Grace. A week later, James's friend arrived at the base as expected. He was very well dressed and drove a very beautiful car. He took Emma and her child into the car and drove them to his home in the city. It was the first time Emma had been to such a big city. Upon entering the man's house, she looked around, lost in the beauty of the home. Once in the living room, the man tried to ask her a few questions to learn more about her. "Good evening again, Emma. You can call me Mr. Michael. This is my house and this is where you will work. You will work for me as a housemaid. I'm hiring you here because my wife, whom you see over there, is pregnant and I don't want her to work anymore. Also, we're getting married soon and you'll also take care of all the house preparations. I will pay you a very comfortable salary so that you feel comfortable and fulfilled with your child. I will cover your food and all your secondary needs. Now I'm curious to know a little more about you, your life, and your family." Emma sadly lowered her head. She didn't know where to start. There was so much to say. She began to sadly tell the man her story, trying not to cry. When she had finished telling the whole story, Mr. Michael asked her with a confused look, "So my friend James is the father of your little girl?" "Yes, mister." "How could he make you go through so much suffering while you carry his child?" Mr. Michael was disappointed. He picked up his phone and dialed the police number, but Emma stopped him. "No, please don't do that. I wouldn't want him to go to prison. He's the father of my daughter. I'd rather leave it to God to do his will. I'm really sorry for everything you've been through at your age, young lady. If I were you, I would have informed the police so that he would pay for his crimes, but I respect that you don't want to do that. You can start working tomorrow. I'll pay you more than the salary I promised you." She was overjoyed. The next day she began working as a maid at Mr. Michael's house. She woke up early every day and took care of all the household chores in the house. Mr. Michael paid her a lot of money, more than what she really deserved for her work. She changed her clothes and also her daughter's clothes. She was very happy and fulfilled. For years, she began to regain a taste for life, and her daughter Amelia had grown a lot. She spent a lot of time with her and made sure she never lacked anything now that she could afford it. Meanwhile, James was living the good life with his wife Grace, who was about to give birth. James had already forgotten Emma and had never thought to check on her, let alone on his own daughter. All he cared about was his new sweetheart Grace. A month later, it was the wedding day of Mr. Michael and his wife. Emma got up early and took care of preparing the villa courtyard for the ceremony. She prepared all the meals for the guests by herself. Several senior officials and notable people were invited to the wedding, as Michael was a very prominent businessman who had many connections. While the party was in full swing in the villa courtyard, Emma's gaze fell on the silhouette of a person in the distance. The person seemed strangely familiar to her. She looked at the person carefully, and her doubts were confirmed. She walked over and tapped them on the back. It was Mia, the military woman who had once taken her in. As soon as she saw her, she jumped into her arms. "Emma? How much you've changed. And your husband? Did you finally get back together with him?" "God forbid," replied Emma. "A lot has happened since I returned to the neighborhood. Come with me, please. You're going to tell me everything," added Mia, pulling her by the hand towards a table away from the crowd. "I came back to the base, but I learned that you had been transferred." "Yes, Emma, my life has totally changed. I got a promotion and had to leave the country to go work abroad. I'm really happy for you, Mia. You really deserve it. God has truly blessed and rewarded you for your generosity. You helped and supported me even though you didn't even know me. And your daughter? My daughter is sleeping inside. And you, what are you doing here? Do you live in this house? Emma explained the whole situation to her, including how James had thrown her out. Mia couldn't believe her ears. She had never imagined that James was Emma's husband. She took a piece of paper out of her pocket and handed it to her. Here, Emma, this is my house address here in the country. You can visit me during the week because I'll be here until the end of the week. She also handed her a large wad of cash. Here's this money, Emma. It's for you. Do with it whatever you want. And if you ever need anything, don't hesitate to let me know. Emma was very happy. After the ceremony, when Mia got home that evening, she called a junior officer in the army who was under her command and asked for a dismissal letter to be sent to James's address. As of now, he is permanently dismissed from his position. The next morning, James was sitting on the couch with Grace when he received the letter. He opened it and read it, then began to cry. Grace asked him, looking confused, "What's wrong, darling?" Unable to utter a single word, James handed her the letter for her to read as well. After she finished reading it, she too began to cry sadly. What was she going to do? She had always relied on James to provide for all her needs. She had no job and depended entirely on James to live. In the months following James's dismissal, the couple's situation completely deteriorated. James was no longer able to provide for Grace, and they no longer had the means to eat properly. With no other options, Grace aborted her pregnancy and asked James for a divorce. For several weeks now, you've been unable to provide for my needs. I'm sorry, but I can't live with a man who can't feed his wife. You should go back to your first wife, dirty and ugly. After all, she's carrying your child. She's the one who suits you, but you and me, I think it has to end here. Luckily, I hadn't given birth yet. She packed her bags and left while James cried on his knees and begged her. James had become miserable. He had lost 3 things at once: his wife, his daughter, and his job. Meanwhile, Emma was still working for Mr. Michael. She was very well paid and was very fulfilled. She had saved a lot of money. Now that life had smiled on her, she decided to visit Layla in the neighborhood. Since Baba's death, she was the only person in James's family who had always supported her. She must have grown a lot and should be 10 years old by now. She planned to thank her and take her back with her to the city. The next day, bright and early, she took her car and went to the neighborhood accompanied by her daughter Amelia. When she got out of the car with her daughter, James's mother was sitting at the entrance of the hut and looked very sad. She didn't realize it was Emma and quickly stood up to go greet her when suddenly she realized it was her. Overcome with shame, she turned around without saying anything. She was so ashamed that she didn't dare speak to her. Emma called out Layla's name. "Layla! Layla!" She came out, and when she saw Emma, she ran to throw herself into her arms. She had grown a lot. She was very happy to see Emma again. She bent down and greeted little Amelia. "Why is your mother so sad?" asked Emma out of curiosity. "It's because of my big brother James. He got fired from his job and got so deeply into debt in the city that the police are threatening to imprison him and seize our house." While Layla was explaining the situation to Emma, James came out in tears and walked toward Emma. "Forgive me, Emma, I beg you. Forgive me for everything I put you through. I'm truly sorry." He noticed that Amelia had grown a lot. "Hello, little one. How are you?" Amelia didn't know him and hid behind her mother. He continued sadly. "I see you now have a lot of money and also a car. Please help me." The police are threatening to arrest me and imprison me and seize our house. I don't want my mother and little sister to suffer because of my mistakes." "How much do you need to pay off your debts?" asked Emma. "I need 100,000, he replied sadly. Emma walked to her car to get some money. She came back with a large bundle of bills and handed it to him. "Thank you so much, Emma. I know you're a kind-hearted girl, Emma. Please forgive me. I really regret everything I put you through. I want you to find a small place for me in your heart. I want to be your husband again and prove to you that you've always been my first love. No, James. I'm sorry. I may have forgiven you, but I'll never forget everything you made me endure." She turned around and walked to her car with her daughter, leaving James on his knees in tears. Even his own daughter hadn't recognized him. James's mother was sitting in front of the living room entrance, but didn't dare intervene. She had always mistreated and humiliated Emma, and was so ashamed she couldn't say a single word. Emma offered Layla to take her with her to the city, so she could continue her studies in better conditions. She was very happy. Emma returned to the city with her and her daughter. You should never play with a woman's feelings. Harm the lives of others, and God will make sure your life is harmed. A good deed is never lost. If you like this story, subscribe and leave me an encouraging comment.